So recently I've been doing a lot of live webinars, the format of which is that we do webinars Monday through Thursday. So each day I go into the market live and I show people exactly what I'm doing on the charts, and then I show them the trades in my trading account. And these webinars have been unbelievably received. I've got a ton of great reviews. But there's always a subset of people who say, if this guy's such a hot shot, he'd be showing us his live account. Meantime, I am showing my live trades, but I'm showing them screenshots. So I appreciate that, with all the misrepresentation out there, that there's a reasonable amount of skepticism. So while I don't really love to do it, I'm going to show you, exactly what's happening on the live. My live broker accounts, some of them, I own, many broker accounts. I'm going to share with you two of my broker accounts, and I'm going to show you what I've been doing recently. I'm going to also show you that I've been, saying, for people on these webinars to do these trades. I've been sending them out to people on our elite program, which receive my daily email, my trades, and so I'm going to kind of do a backward thing where I'm going to show you exactly what I'm doing in my live account. And then I'm going to show you why I did it on the chart. So in this particular broker account, I have two positions, one in IPGP. You can see that I'm short 6,776 shares of a stock that is valued at $202. Now, I shorted it right around here, about $204. You can see I'm slightly in a gain. But actually, I was minus $120,000 on this. I'll talk about this at another time, why I decided to stay in this trade and why I think it will eventually make me a lot of money, despite the fact that I had to sit through a $120,000 loss. Now, to establish this position, I had to put up $1.3 million because I've got 6,776 shares at $202, which is that's what is required to purchase this position, and I've just got a small gain. On the other hand, I recently shorted Zoom at around $330. I shorted 2,250 shares. You can see that it closed today $25 lower in the market, and I'm up just under $34,000 on that position. So my total market gain in this account just today is $34,500. And you can see I had to put up $2 million worth of shares of dollars in order to establish these short positions. And this is my cash balance, $2,795,210. So that is what I'm doing in this one account. And so I made this amount, $34,578 just today. Now I'm going to share with you positions that I'm holding in another broker account where I'm long a series of put options on the QQQ. The QQQ is an ETF that tracks the Nasdaq. If you want to buy a compilation of stocks that represent the Nasdaq, you would buy the QQQs. Since I am inherently very bearish on the QQQs, I think that the Nasdaq is going to go lower. I bought a put option. A put option is a bet on a decline in that particular instrument. And in this case, I bought a put option that expires in just a few days. I bought the 315 put option. So this is when the QQQs were trading around 319, 320. I bet that they would hit a lot of resistance and turn backward, turn lower, and that's exactly what they did. So in this series of the 315 strike price, expiring 3/26/2021, I bought 150 of the QQQ 315 put options at about $1.66 a share. It closed about triple that today, and for a total cost of just under $25,000. You can see that I am up about $37,000 on that position, so I've made about 150% on my money in just a day and a half since I bought these put options. Simultaneously with buying the 315 strike, since I was so bearish, I also bought the 312.5s. The more out of the money you go, the more risky it is, so you pay less. So you can see in this case, I bought 250 of these options, these put options at $1.16. My total cost was $29,000. Now you have to understand that at the time, the QQQs were trading at 319 or 320. So if the QQQs had closed above 315, all of my money would have been lost. The entire over $50,000, the entire 24,900 or the entire 29,000. So this is inherently a very risky bet. If it doesn't go through your strike price by a required amount, you will lose most or all of your money very quickly. You can see that I'm making $42,000 on this, so also up about 150% on the day. So collectively, with these two put option series, I'm making $79,350. Now, concurrently with owning these put options, because I am so bearish the Nasdaq, and I'm also very bearish the stock of Zoom Video Communications. The ticker symbol is ZM. This is obviously the popular method of communicating these days, but despite the value that it provides, I think that the stock is going to crash. I started shorting it at $346.92. It closed today at around $314, and so I'm making $63,929 in the stock. So basically, in the last day and a half, this is when these gains have occurred. I've made collectively $143,000. So added to the $34,000 that I made in the other account, I'm making just under $200,000 over the last day and a half in the market, and I expect these positions to go a lot more profitable. Now I'm in the money on both of these put options, which means it starts going dollar for dollar. So since we closed at around 312, I'm in the money on both of these. Three points in the money on the 315s, and I'm just in the money in the 312s. And so every $1 that the QQQ goes lower, or 100 points, however you want to put it, I now go dollar for dollar. So these profits will expand exponentially, and I expect them to do so. I also expect Zoom stock to trade down to 250 or 200 or even under $200 at some point, and so I will keep adding to the position. So my commitment for these positions was around $747,000, and right now I've got $143,000 profit in those positions. So again, this is for transparency's sake. I don't really like sharing my my personal statements, but there are a lot of people questioning what I do, and so for that reason, I wanted to be open and transparent. So just to digress, for the last several days, I've been listening to our business channel here nonstop, and all day long I hear all of these business managers, these wealth managers, CPAs, whomever, talk about that we've had a record amount of stimulus coming into the markets. We've got a 7% GDP growth expected in the United States this year, and we also have an economy that's about to reopen. And for all those reasons, the expectations are that stocks are going to continue to soar. So I listen to this all day long, and yet I'm looking at a chart that suggests that we're going to go down 20 or 30%, and I'm not kidding. So in this chart, I'm looking at the Nasdaq. This is a daily chart. I'm going to show you why I started getting bearish a couple of weeks ago. I put an objective to make 7 figures on this move lower in the Nasdaq, and I anticipated, making that 7 figures over the course of time, when the market got here. As it turns out, I made $1 million from here to here, buying put options in the QQQs, like I just showed you today. So the reason why I started getting so bearish a couple of weeks ago was that I saw several chart patterns start occurring simultaneously, several very bearish chart patterns, beginning with this kind of idiosyncratic chart pattern called the ascending broadening price pattern. And we call it an ascending broadening price pattern because throughout the pattern it's ascending. It starts out life very narrow in the pattern, and then it widens or broadens out at the top. Now these are typically very bearish price patterns, and you can see that we initially broke out of the ascending broadening price pattern, and then typically what happens is that prices usually retest, and you can see we came exactly to the lower end of the ascending broadening price pattern, touched that, and now you can see that we are now being pushed back. And typically when you fail on the retest, then you really go down, and this is what I anticipate with the Nasdaq, and that's why I was saying the positions that I currently showed you I think are going to go far more profitable. You can see that in the interim we formed this double top price pattern, and if we cross, actually not if, but when we cross this 310 threshold in the QQQs, we close around 312 tonight, that would be the neckline and a open spigot back down to retest the 300 level in the QQQs. Now typically when we see these ascending broadening price patterns, I can actually put a price target as to where prices are likely to go to once it breaks out from this ascending broadening price pattern, and that's right back to where it started. So I believe that we're going to come at least here to the Nasdaq. Frankly, I think once it gets going, we're going to drop much further and faster and probably come back to these support levels. And frankly, I think that we could even go lower still. So while the whole world is bullish, I think that we're looking at a Nasdaq that could crack 30 to 40% from current levels. Now, I said there were several concurrent bear price patterns in the Nasdaq that I was looking at, and so in addition to the ascending broadening price pattern, I also saw this head and shoulders. Now, a head and shoulders is just what it sounds like. Here's the left shoulder, the peak is the head, and this is the right shoulder. So when we look back, it looks like a man or woman's head and shoulders. Now, this is a very bearish price pattern. This signifies a reversal of trend. So whereas the main trend leading into this price pattern was higher, with a reversal of trend, it means that prices are going to go lower. And that's exactly what I think we're looking at in the Nasdaq. And so we're just, again, sitting on this perch, and once it peels through the 310 area, there's nothing to hold it up till 300, and then away we go. So I think there's going to be a lot of air left under this chart, and so we're just starting. We're at the beginning of what I think is going to be a long and hard sell-off in the Nasdaq. Every day I send those on our elite member list a daily email alerting them to sizable opportunities in the market. We're looking at the email that I sent out this evening, just a few hours ago, March 24th, in which I said the Nasdaq stock market tumbled today. I do not think we're far away from a 20 to 30% sell-off in all of the U.S. stock market indexes. I went along to say I'm also presently short Zoom, IPGP, and I'm also long the triple Q 315 and 312.5 put options. Again, remember, a put option's a bet on a decline that expire in just a few days. I then suggested I would add to current long pound versus New Zealand positions and short Zoom positions. And in my email, I then highlighted an opportunity to go short the stock of Peloton, symbol PTON. I think we're looking at a sizable opportunity here where if it penetrates the 100 level, I think we're going back to 50, 30, 20 dollars on this stock in not too far off in the distance. And then another way to play the Nasdaq is also to go long this inverse ETF. It's called the SQQQ. So it's a bet. If the Nasdaq's going to go down, you would buy the SQQ, and it's triple leveraged. So whatever the Nasdaq goes down, this will go up 3 times. So today we were down approximately 2% in the Nasdaq, and so this went up 6% today. I think we're breaking out of a long-term downtrend in the SQQQ, which means the Nasdaq is going to go lower and these will go higher. And I think that this is a phenomenal risk-reward opportunity. And then I also reviewed all of my open positions where I'm short the euro, Again, these were emails that were sent to our members just like this one, advising them to get the short the euro several weeks ago on March 3rd, 3 weeks ago at 119.37. We're now trading 118.12. I'm up 125 pips in that. Also suggested 3 weeks ago to start buying pound New Zealand dollar. I thought this was a stealth bull market. It's been just sitting doing nothing, and then yesterday it went up 300 pips. So we started accumulating long positions at 193.37. It's now trading 300 pips higher. And also a week ago I suggested to sell short the stock of Zoom at a price of 338. We closed today at 315, and I'm making $23 in that. So just gives you an idea of the format and how I do things. And so I've been very transparent on my webinars for the last 3 weeks. I've told literally thousands of people how bearish I was the Nasdaq, how I was buying put options and making a fortune. And tonight I just wanted to share with you a smidgen of what I do, how I do it. And you know, I eat my own cooking. So whatever I'm telling our members, believe me, I am trading in spades those ideas. As I indicated, I have been knocking it out of the park since I spotted the top of the Nasdaq several weeks ago, actually on February 19th. It was my objective at that time to make $1 million in the Nasdaq on a short trade. I thought this would take many weeks, actually many months, based on the move I envisaged. Instead, I made $1 million in 2 weeks. And based on my record, I opened an account with this broker only 2 months ago, and you can see this broker is estimating my annualized rate of return based on my results at over 8,867%. Compounded annual rate of return based on the results that I've produced just in the last couple of months now. This is just one of many accounts. I open accounts just to test brokers, and so I opened this account 2 months ago. Right around that time, I started buying Lyft stock and calls, and then I started shorting the Nasdaq, and I have just hit it out of the park since then. So this is just another thing that I'm trying to share with those that are invested in what are interested in what I do and how I do it.